Drawing from his work with radio and audio montage, Pierre Schaeffer concludes that recordings of natural sounds can be used to compose music. In Schaeffer's words, "This determination to compose with materials taken from an existing collection of experimental sounds I name musique concrète, to mark well the place in which we find ourselves, no longer dependent on preconceived sound abstractions, but now using fragments of sound existing concretely and considered as sound objects defined in whole." Canadian physicist, inventor, and composer Hugh LeCain creates the electronic sackbut, a proto-synthesizer which uses a form of voltage control to give the player control over various elements of sound through the keyboard and other controls. LeCain goes on to create a variety of useful electronic music instruments. Werner Meyer-Epler, Robert Beyer, and Herbert Eimart of the WDR in Cologne create a studio for the purposes of creating and recording wholly electronic music. In 1953, Karlheinz Stockhausen comes on board and becomes one of the most influential elektronische Musik composers. Elektronische Musik featured electronic sound-generating devices such as oscillators and instruments such as Harold Boda's Mellochord. Successful pop, jazz, swing composer and bandleader Raymond Scott creates the Clavivox, an electronic keyboard instrument born of the combination of an organ, a Bob Moog theremin, and various other parts which give synthesizer functionality. Scott goes on to create a wealth of electronic music technology and is an inspiration to engineers like Bob Moog. Harry Olson and Herbert Villar of RCA realized the dreams of the futurists and others in the creation of a device which allows the composer to electronically design timbre, articulation, and performance in the form of a 750 vacuum tube room-sized synthesizer controlled by binary paper drives and able to multi-track directly to lacquer disc. This incredible and complex 24 oscillator synth was housed at the Columbia-Princeton Electronic Music Center due to the efforts of Vladimir Ussachevsky, Milton Babbitt, and Otto Luening. The Radiophonic Workshop is formed as a source of new and interesting sounds for programming at the BBC. It became an exciting synthesis of Musik concrète and Elektronische Musik in that electronic sound sources were mixed with manipulated recorded sound sources and tapes spliced together to create unique, inspiring, and innovative sound effects, pieces of music, and atmospheres for BBC programming. One of the founders of the Radiophonic Workshop, Daphne went on to pursue her own synthesis vision in the Aramix machine. Implementing optical audio techniques from such historical devices as the Variophone, the ANS system, and traditional movie audio soundtracks, the Aramix machine allowed creation, control, and articulation of sound through drawn shapes on transparent film read by optical sensors. This group began as a company of people who performed avant-garde electronic music together. They wanted to bridge the gap between Musik concrète and Elektronische Musik. Some notable members were composers Morton Subotnick, Ramon Sender, Pauline Oliveros, and Terry Riley. This center set the stage for Don Buchla's pioneering synthesis work. This year, engineer and theremin builder Bob Moog collaborated with composer Herbert Deutsch to integrate electronic music devices with control voltage. On the other side of the country, Don Buchla was doing the same. Both engineers ended up creating voltage-controlled modular electronic music devices which excited the imaginations of composers. When popular music became introduced to the synthesizer, the general public became enthralled with it. Synthesizer recordings proliferated, and so did new synthesizer companies. Alan R. Perlman, EMS, EML, Buchla, Korg, Roland, and more. Bob's own synthesizer company lit the way with their innovative designs. Other companies followed suit. Soon the synthesizer permeated all genres of music and synthesis became big business. Synthesizers became less expensive and more powerful, implementing the new digital technologies in mass manufacture. The futuristic envisionings of turn-of-the-century musicians and engineers came true within 88 years with the introduction of combination synthesizer sequencer workstations.